All right, hello guys. Normally I don't post lives or I'm like talking about certain things because I be saying some wild stuff and I have to go back and oh, shouldn't have said that. But it's just something that's been bothering me lately, and like posting a story takes forever. I think the stories are like 10 seconds long. I wish it was like a Snapchat where you can just like post a minute and then send another minute and it's whatever. I just got home. Um, I took a nap. And then I was like, oh crap, I gotta get home. So I got up and came home. So my makeup's a little messed up. But I don't know, I'm irritated and bothered and just a lot of stuff that's not sitting right with my spirit. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot. I don't know, it's a lot that I need to say. Just a lot of things that are happening, and it's like, I post things on Facebook, I acknowledge things on Facebook, I post good stuff, I post bad stuff, I try to keep it like a nice healthy balance. But like, there's just it's just so much. And mostly this video is just like for like people who claim to be like believers or Christians or whatever. But they say things like, oh, I'm apolitical, or I'm centrist, or I'm neutralist, or whatever the cool kids are saying. Um, and they just kind of want to play blind to everything. And it's kind of annoying, and it's kind of an issue that needs to be addressed. Um, when you are more afraid of what people will think about you as opposed to standing up and standing strong in your faith, sis, you got a lot of reevaluating to do. You got a lot that you need to reevaluate, because I don't know about what kind of Bible you're reading, but my Bible says, "No weapons against me formed against me shall prosper." It also says that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and love. So I don't know what you're reading, but get on the reading. I don't know what you guys are reading, but get on the reading. I kind of wrote like a bunch of notes just to like so I don't get out of track because I have ADHD brain. Um, but yeah, basically something that's been really bothering me lately is this idea of the fact that kids possess enough knowledge and common sense and just even any type of sense enough to it's mostly about this kid named James. Basically his she's not even his biological mom. She's pretty much winning the custody. She won a custody battle. I don't know if it's a custody thing going on between her and his biological dad. She's saying that her son is transgender and he wants to be called Luna and all this other foolishness. But when the boy is with his dad, he doesn't feel that way. Like, he still is comfortable being a boy. He likes to go shirtless because he says boys can go shirtless and girls can't. And when his dad posted the video of like pretty much exposing what his mom's been doing, all he said is I like girls, and like that doesn't mean he's a transgender boy. Um, I just think this is something that a lot of people have been doing lately, which is pretty sick, which is pretty much forcing their sons to be transgendered. And I don't think people understand. And like I said, everyone wants to play blind, right? This isn't for people who, if you believe this is cool, you like the trend, do you, okay? But I'm still gonna say something about it. And this is not just based on my religion only, but just on my morality and whatever. Like, people don't understand how most of these things that they're so big about and that they support so much, they don't even know how the process goes. When you have a transgendered kid, before the kid goes into puberty, you give them puberty blockers, meaning if it's a girl, she'll never have like a period and she'll never experience that, and she'll become pretty much she'll be infertile. And if it's a boy, he doesn't get like what's the word, it's not the sperm, it's like it is the sperm, yeah, like they don't develop that, and they will never be able to have kids. And everybody already knows how the statistics is for suicide rate for transgender people. So that's just that that is a whole nother story to get into. We're not going to get into all that, but I don't think someone who still believes in Santa Claus, or someone who doesn't even know three times three, or someone who probably doesn't even know how Roman numerals or cursive, can make a decision to literally alter their lives. And even with like things like drag kids and drag queen story time and all these things that's going on in the school, and all these Christians are sitting here like this. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and wreak havoc and go warring the street and destroying buildings and causing chaos. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you guys need to step up and say, I'm not going to allow this in my kid's school, because it's come down to a point where certain cities in America, this is not happening all the way on the other side of the world. This is stuff that's happening in America that people want to put on their blinders onto and pretend they don't see. Because if I don't see it, and if I don't acknowledge it, and I pretend it's not my problem, then it's not a problem. But that's not how it works. So we have things like daycares who no longer identify kids as he or she. It's they them. Like, I'm not calling no one person they them. I'll say that if I'm low-key talking about them, like, oh, they, when you're talking about a guy and you don't want your friends to know it's a guy, or whatever the situation is, or a girl or whatever, and you go, oh, they, whatever. But that's a different situation. But I hate it because I was in high school recently. I just graduated high school. I just graduated high school 2.5 years ago, and I see how the schools are extremely political, and the things that they try to force you to believe. And I almost failed the class because my first period teacher was extremely far left, and she was trying to force me to say things on my assignments that I disagreed with. And I'm like, you can't force me to say that. And she's like, if you don't say this, or you don't put this on your assignment, you're gonna fail the class. And it took me telling her, like, look, you cannot force me to believe in your political ideology or whatever. And that cannot be, like, the class cannot be political, and the class cannot be a biased thing. It has to be like, and it was English class. It wasn't like I was taking like government. She wasn't my government teacher or anything. But, and when I talk to my siblings, the things that they tell me that they're learning in school and whatever, it scares me, because everyone wants to pretend. And a lot of believers too, they like, when I talk to them, like, oh, hey, do you know what's going on? And I don't just walk up to them like a random, just like, hey, do you know what's going on? But like, I'll say something like, oh man, this thing is starting to bother me. Or like, oh, I saw something about this earlier and it's not sitting well in my spirit. And they go, oh, well, I just kind of ignore it. I try not to focus on it because I don't want to be too controversial, or I don't want to cause problems, or I don't want to get fired, or I don't want to, whatever. And I'm like, just because you're standing firm in your faith, or you're saying I don't agree with where this situation is going, doesn't mean you're a hateful person, doesn't mean you should get fired. And if you do get fired, then then you should see how the company is, and you should fight towards that. And if you got to take them to court, take them to court. But don't cower down and be like, oh, I want to be apolitical or centrist because that's more comfortable for other people. And it just, this is just something that I'm very emotional and like passionate about. And then I hate how, this guy said at the Democratic, what is it called, where the Democrats are all sitting there and like trying to say, oh, hey, vote for me, whatever that thing is called. And the guy goes, if organizations choose to not acknowledge, gay marriage as a thing, and not accept it, and, not want to, do them, then they won't get government funding, and they those people are hateful and all this other stuff. And that's complete nonsense, because I know he's talking about the church. If the church isn't for homosexuality, it's like saying, oh, I don't even know what to compare that to, but like, all sin is equal. I know that. I'm not cherry picking which sin is better than whatever, but don't sit here and go to a church knowing that the Bible clearly states that homosexuality is a sin, and then go to a church and try to get married, and then when they tell you, I'm not comfortable wedding you, you'll have to go somewhere else, you want to sue or cause problems or get mad and do all this other nonsense. Like, you're looking for problems. And that doesn't mean the church is hateful. That just means that they're standing firm on their faith. Any other religion would not have to, and I want these people to go to any other type of religion and try to do these type of things, but you won't see it. And I know a lot of people don't agree with Steven Crowder. A lot of people don't agree with a lot of Republicans, and whatever's cool, I get it. But I like how he's very, he's here to show people, like, hey, this is what's going on, whether you want to believe it or not. So he went to a couple Muslim bakeries, because the Christian baker was the big thing of last year, when they were like, oh, the Christian baker is hateful because he doesn't want to make cakes that for gay weddings and whatever, or for gay parties. And they took him to court twice, got to the Supreme Court and whatever. Once again, everybody wants to play blind to that. Like, oh, what Christian baker? What is a baker? Christian? Is that a person? Is that someone? Does he work here? Whatever. But he actually went to Muslim bakeries and said, can you put, and it wasn't anything raunchy or anything crazy. It's just saying, this is for Matt and John, or whatever he said, and trying to get them to write on the cake. And the Muslim bakers are like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, what, go to another baker. They'll go to the person down the street will probably do that for you, but we don't do that here. But you'll never see that. And it's cool. I get it. Jesus said, if they hate you for the sake of my name, just know they hated me first. And I get that. Cool. But I just think it's funny how, like, no one's talking about this. Churches don't talk about this. They don't discuss this. Everybody wants to play blind. Everybody just wants to just post about, like, oh, happiness and prosperity, and God is going to give you blessing. God is going to give you joy. God's going to give you money. If you want a husband, God will get you a husband. Everybody wants to talk about the pluses and pluses and pluses and pluses, but you guys are missing 100%, like 100% of the Bible. If you just sit here and you cherry pick what you want to read, and you take things out of context, and you sit here and just try to make up your own version of God, that's not the real God that you're claiming to serve. Because God is not all about just blessing, miracles, whatever. That's not what it's all about. It's also about, like, advancing the kingdom of God, and yes, showing love and being charitable. But it's not only about being charitable and only showing love. Sometimes you also have to say, hey, we're going down a slope. Like, we Christians have to come together. The body of Christ has to come together and say, we notice this has been going on. How do we address this, and how do we stop this? And like I said, it's not about causing havoc or breaking out in war and going crazy, whatever. It's just, hey, this is going on in the schools. The video of the guy who posted, I posted a video on my page of this guy who went to the school, and this is in South Africa. Yeah, it's not America. It's not America yet, or it's not exposed in America yet. But he, in his kid's school, there was a bunch of demonic stuff, and they drew God as a clown, and basically bashing God, because that's just what people are. It's normal. It's normalized. There's nothing wrong with bashing God. Like, God, what is that? Like, people literally spit on Christianity on a daily basis, and they just disrespect God on a daily basis, and they don't care. It's acceptable because Christians want to be so nice and charitable. Like, oh, well, I'm going to donate to organizations, and I'm going to donate to charities, and I'm just going to pray for people that are Christians at work, and everything's going to be all joyous, and I hope for blessings, and I hope my kids, good luck to them, pretty much, because I'm not exactly making sure that they're comfortable and knowing what's going on. And I'm not, what is the word? I'm staying apolitical and whatever. And they're just letting all these things happen, and they don't care about I'm not saying they don't care about their kids, but they don't care about their kids' spiritual well-being. Because, like I said, I literally just left high school. So I know this because I was just in high school. I know how things were becoming extremely political. People are getting fired because there are people who look like this, full face of makeup, hair done, not full face of makeup, but makeup on, earrings. I can walk into a classroom and say, I identify as he, him, and I expect you to address me as a boy. And if you don't, I can take your job. And call me crazy, call me insane, call me stupid, say I'm fear mongering and whatever, and I'm hateful and all this other nonsense about me. But if you do the research, you do a simple Google search, and even though Google and YouTube are both extremely liberal companies, you can search up these things and you'll see people getting fired for this. You'll see what they're saying. And like I said, Christians want to be like, not my problem. My kids, good luck to you, whatever. And I don't know, it just really bothers me. It's something that's been really sitting. It's just been sitting really hard on my spirit. And, I'm very honest about, like, I don't like how people cherry pick sins and they say one sin is worse than the other. Like, they go, oh, if someone's homosexual, they're extremely bad, or they're going to go to hell, and they're doing nasty things or whatever. But then they ignore the fact that within the church, there are people who are literally sleeping with married men or married women or the pastor or all this stuff that's going on in the church. They don't address it. I don't like the cherry picking, but I also feel like, yeah, we should focus on what's going on in church, which also people want to put blinders on. Like, I don't see what's going on in church. The pastors out here preaching stuff that's not in the Bible, but I'm not going to get involved with it. The pastors preaching about stuff from other religion, but I'm going to stay peaceful. I don't want problem. I don't want controversy. And they're saying all this nonsense, and they're just letting things fly because it doesn't bother them now. I want to be comfortable. I want to be safe. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get, have any problems until it's at your door and it's knocking. And then you go, whoa. What do you mean? What do you mean? Whatchamacallit? What do you mean because I called the boy with the beard and the mustache who's 6'4", that sounds like Morgan Freeman? What do you mean I'm getting fired because I called him a boy? What do you mean that what do you mean that I don't know, just these little things that are happening, and everyone wants to put on blinders. I don't know, it's just a lot of stuff that's irritating me. What do you mean my kid is getting suspended from school because his friend, who's been a girl for the past 5 years when they were friends, now identifies as a boy, and now my son is considered hateful because he doesn't call that person a boy anymore, which is something that happened 2 years ago. If you didn't know, like I said, simple Google or YouTube search will show you that. I don't know, it's just a lot going on. And yeah, I just stay woke. Like the cool kids are saying, stay woke. Like I said, this is not fear mongering. This is not hate speech. This is not that. This is not a call to violence. This is a call to prayer. This is a call to unity. This is a call to just open your eyes. Just literally open your eyes. Open your phone and actually like Google search, hey, what's going on in the world today? And you'll see how these things are going on. And there's so many things that just people don't want to talk about. And, and I get it, my political beliefs, being a Republican and black, just no one wants to hear anything I had to say. They're like, oh, you're already a coon. You're already a sellout. You're, all these nasty things, whatever people, death threats and all this dumb crap that people send me online. It's cool. Have your opinions about that. I'm not saying you need to be Republican. I'm just saying if you say that you stand for God, or if you say that you're a believer and that you're strong and, oh, my God is mighty, my ultimate power and all this other stuff, start living like it. Stop trying to, don't be afraid of human beings, and stop making excuses just for like, oh, I don't want the problems. You think Jesus came here looking for problems? No, Jesus came to share the truth. When you read the Bible, these people weren't people who were just silent, like, oh, I'm apolitical, I don't want problems, women's right, yes, her body, her choice, I don't want to get involved in that. Oh, Oh, New York is passed a bill that says even after the child is born, they can kill it because the mom doesn't want it. Oh, even after child. Oh, yeah, I don't want to read about that. Oh, I don't like that. I'm apolitical and all this other stuff. All happening, and everybody wants to, and all these Christians want to play blind to it, and it's just irritating me. It's not sitting well with my soul at all. Everybody wants to be lukewarm, like I said, until it's open the door, and then you go, whoa, I don't want to open the door to that. No. Hey, hello, sorry, I'm apolitical. Try next door, and then they come busting down your door, and they come and they're tearing down your cross, they're taking your Bibles, they're shredding them to pieces until they're really at your door and in your prayer closet, destroying things until they're really getting in your life. Then you go, oh, I didn't even know this was going on. How would you know it was going on if you wanted to be apolitical or centrist or neutralist or whatever? I don't know, but this was just something that was bothering me. It just bothers me, and I hate when kids. I mean, I'm not a fan of kids. I don't really like kids half the time, but I'm very selective of kids that are like, they're cute when they're quiet, then they start crying, and I take them back to their parents. But not ready to be a mom, as you can tell. But I don't like, even when my siblings ask me things like, "Did Donald Trump really say?" I'm like, don't worry about politics, okay? That's not your avenue, okay? When you get older, we can talk about it. But right now, your brain cannot really process what's going on, and even if I tell you what's going on, you still won't be able to really like process it, because what's going on in the world right nowadays, most adults can't even process it, because like I said, everyone wants to play blind, and they go, mind your business, mind your business, mind your business. It's impossible to mind your business when it's in legislation. It's impossible to mind your business when these people are running to be in the highest seat of in office, like they want to be president. You sit here and tell me that churches you're going to come for churches that won't perform gay marriages, and I'm supposed to sit here and mind my business. You're in my business, and now I'm in your business. And, like just stuff like that, like just, it irritates me so much. Like, it's so annoying, because it's impossible. It's impossible to be at peace, and it's impossible to be cordial with someone who, there is, you try to come to a middle ground with people, right? You want to be a centrist. There is a middle ground, people. I promise you, there's a middle ground. And even with the abortion situation, people are mad because Alabama said no more abortions, but then they ignore the fact that 8 states actually, that was 3 states were 2 months ago. It's 8 states now where you can have abortions up to birth, meaning the child is already born. I don't care if you don't think the child in the womb is a human being. Once that child is born, we all sat down and agreed that it was a human being. Once the child is literally alive, sitting there, you can touch the child with your hand, the child is breathing, that's a human being. But now in 8 different states, that's no longer a human being. If the mom says, kill it after it's born, they kill the baby. And that was something that centrist was saying, oh, there's a middle ground. There is no middle ground when someone says up to 9 months, up to after birth, murder is acceptable. There is no middle ground. You can't sit and talk to someone and try to convince them like, hey, let's try to find them. There is no middle ground in that. And like I said, they wanted, oh, well, God told us to be charitable and kind and loving, and let's hold each other hands, and we can go shopping, and we can just talk about it, and there's a middle ground but then these people don't care for a middle ground. They're not looking for a middle ground. They want, it's their way or there's no other way. So, that's just something that there was just these things that were bothering me that I felt like I just need to talk about. And like I said, doesn't mean you have to be a Republican. Doesn't mean, being a Democrat is wrong. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, if you care about your family, your kids or your younger siblings' spiritual well-being, you need to start paying attention to little dibble and dabbles and here and there, spirit of Antichrist right there, spirit of Antichrist right there, and the spirit. What is the spirit of Antichrist? Doesn't mean a guy with the giant horns or whatever. The spirit of the Antichrist is anything that goes against what God says is true. But I don't see it. If I don't see it, it's not my problem. I don't care. It's not my problem. I'm not dealing with it. I don't want to seem hateful. I don't want my neighbor to hate me. I don't want people to think that I'm this. When you are afraid of people more than you are afraid of God, my friend, you have problems. You have some stuff that you need to get together. Something that I used to say in middle school, crazy enough, is like when people would be like, oh, this person can do this and that. I'm like, I'm not afraid of any human being. Well, I am scared of animals, but I'm not afraid of human beings. What can a human being do to me? You can kill me, and then what? And then what? And I'm not saying that because you speak on behalf of these things that you're gonna get killed, but don't stay quiet because you want to be. Because these people are not quiet. You cannot, like I said, there's no middle ground when someone says, it's only my way, and it's as far as I say we can take this, or there's no other way. There is no middle ground with that. So, like I said, this is not a call to war. So don't, whatever. But I just want to talk about that. It's been bothering me. And everyone be blessed. Everyone be blessed, and have a blessed Sunday, or whenever you're watching this, if you watch the whole thing, I don't know. And it's nighttime, so I'm gonna go take a shower and go to sleep for work tomorrow.